The screen is black, silent. Suddenly, a colossal red stick figure labeled Singularity appears, floating in nothingness. It's calm, yet unbelievably dense. Then, without warning, it explodes. Not with a whimper, but with the loudest, most violent cartoon kaboom ever animated. This is the Big Bang. We see billions of tiny, scattered stickmen of energy, photons, fighting and colliding in the blinding, primordial chaos. The battle is pure speed and light. The camera whips through the expanding void, dodging heat and radiation as the earliest forces try to pull the universe back together. For a moment, it looks like the Gravity Stickman will win, drawing everything back into a knot. But the sheer force of Expansion Stickmen keeps pushing. The battle rages for an unseen cosmic instant until the forces cool, allowing the first elements, simple hydrogen and helium, to form. These elements are visualized as the exhausted yet victorious survivors of the initial energy war, now gently swirling as the arena dims to a deep dark blue. This chaotic hot and cold clash is the foundation of all that follows. A high-stakes wrestling match in a newborn space, where the rules are still being written by pressure and time. The initial density gives way to an enormous cold void, but the fighting has just begun, moving from a battle of pure energy to a patient, gravitational slow burn. The aftermath is a long, dark siege known as the Dark Ages, an era where the scattered hydrogen and helium stickmen wander aimlessly, until the relentless pull of Gravity Stickman begins to assert itself. Slowly, painstakingly, gravity herds them into massive, sprawling formations. This isn't a fast battle. It's an epic struggle of attrition. Millions of the tiny gas stickmen resist, but the cumulative pressure becomes overwhelming. As the density in these new cosmic arenas, the first nebulae, increases, the temperature rises dramatically. The stickmen are forced closer and closer until they fuse, their atoms melding in an act of cosmic self-immolation. Fusion. The first Star Stickman ignites in a glorious, blinding flare of yellow and white, a powerful beacon born from pressure and sacrifice. These stars are the first blacksmiths of the universe, forging heavier and more complex elements. Iron, carbon, oxygen, the building blocks of all future warriors, are born in the superheated core. We follow the life of one massive Star Stickman as it burns through its fuel, knowing its fate is sealed. It bloats, it shrinks, and then, in a devastating final act, it explodes in a supernova stickman clash, scattering the newly forged elements, the dust of future worlds, into the cosmos for the next phase of the endless war. The debris from the exploding stars, rich with the metallic stickmen of iron and silicate, now floats in dense clouds, destined for round 3, the formation of planets. The scattered dust stickmen begin to stick together, a process called accretion, gathering into larger and larger groups, forming planetesimals, the tough, early foot soldiers of a new solar system. The battle now becomes a giant, high-speed game of cosmic dodgeball. These early planetesimal stickmen collide frequently and violently, either merging to create larger figures or shattering into pieces. We focus on one specific arena, the birth of our home, the Proto-Earth Stickman. It grows rapidly, consuming anything in its path, until a colossal planet-sized foe, the Theia Stickman, slams into it. The impact is catastrophic, visualized as 2 giant stickmen punching each other to pieces. The resulting debris settles into orbit, forming a loyal second-in-command, the Moon Stickman. The Earth is now a molten, burning, inhospitable figure, still recovering from the trauma of collision. Its surface a sea of fire as the heavier iron stickmen sink to the center, creating the core, and the lighter ones form the crust. With the intense heat finally subsiding, the focus shifts from fire to water. The Earth Stickman is now cool enough for a new set of warriors, water vapor stickmen, carried in by countless icy comets and trapped within the cooling rocks. They are locked in a vicious environmental conflict. The internal Volcano Stickmen constantly release massive amounts of gas, trying to keep the surface hellishly hot, while the external Condensation Stickmen push back, forming vast, heavy clouds. Eventually, the Condensation Stickmen win the long fight, triggering the epic Great Rainstorm, a torrent that lasts for millions of years. This deluge forms the first ocean stickman, a huge, swirling mass that covers the globe. This ocean isn't just water. It's a giant, complex soup where basic elements are jostling for position. Lightning stickmen and UV radiation stickmen constantly bombard this soup, creating chemical reactions. This is the ultimate chemical incubator, where simple inorganic molecules are forced to interact under extreme conditions, setting the stage for the most revolutionary battle of all. The oceans become the stage for the final, most improbable evolution of the early world, the spark of life. Within the warm, chemical broth, the simple inorganic molecules stickmen start combining into much more complex and organized structures, like early proteins and amino acids. This transition is less of a battle and more of a quiet, slow-motion coup d'etat. The simple molecules, guided by emergent chemical laws, spontaneously form a single, self-replicating structure. The first living stickman, or LUCA, last universal common ancestor. It's a tiny, unassuming figure, but it carries the blueprint for all future conflicts. This tiny figure begins to reproduce, exponentially increasing its numbers and initiating the next major war, the resource struggle. These primitive bacterial stickmen fight over the limited chemical energy available. However, a new champion emerges, the cyanobacteria stickman, which figures out how to use sunlight. Its waste product? Oxygen Stickman, a toxic, revolutionary gas that begins to flood the atmosphere. This single act is the prelude to the catastrophic Great Oxidation Event, where oxygen-intolerant life forms will be violently defeated, completely reshaping the world and paving the way for the complex wars of the future.